Coming from someone who has a ton of toys, educational resources, books, all of the things, you don't need a whole lot of things to homeschool. In fact, you really need to keep it simple. And ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. I had to learn the hard way. Initially, I started off very, very simple. My girls started to advance pretty quickly. And then as time went on, I thought I needed all the things, brands sent me new things, stuff like that. It was fun. But now I'm at a point where I need to declutter. I need to give things away. I need to donate. I need to trash. I just need to get rid of some things because choice fatigue is a thing. Having too many choices and not knowing what to use, not knowing if it's as effective as it could be because you're swapping so many things, or if you have so many things out and you're not utilizing them. It's like, when you see too much stuff in one space, it affects you, right? So my girls haven't been complaining about, not knowing what to do. They kind of pick their favorite, toys or whatever to play with. Whether that's magnet tiles or, something open-ended, right? But for me, I was like, you know what? This is a good idea. Since I'm decluttering, for a move or whatever, to kind of come on here and share the things that you don't need. Contrary to popular belief, looking at social media and stuff like that. So the first thing I would say you don't need is a dedicated homeschool room, right? So we've never had a room just officially dedicated to homeschooling. Like, we homeschool wherever, in the bedroom, in the dining room area, right here at my desk, on the sofa, any and everywhere, right? So that's the first thing. Like, if you have a small corner in your house and you can put up little posters if you want to, or if you have a little desk or a beanbag chair, whatever the case may be, it doesn't have to be a lot, right? You can get a lap desk from Target or Michael's, $5. We have those and we don't even use those, right? So it's like, you don't need a lot. You just have to have a dedication, right? The consistency, and just know that you can do this, right? That's the biggest thing. So you don't need a homeschool room. The second thing I'm going to say, if you don't need all of the workbooks, you don't need to go back and forth with different curriculum. Like, once you find something that works, do that. I started off with so many workbooks because, I just had to try everything out. And this was just my personal preference, just to see what's out there, right? But let me just show y'all. And this is only a small amount of the little workbooks that I used to grab from like Target, Dollar Spot, Dollar Tree, other little places. We have not touched these things, and they weren't a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but it's the fact that this is some of the stuff that we have not used. Now, this is not the only stack of workbooks that we have not touched, but it's just like sometimes we see things, me personally, I see things in a Target, Dollar Spot, or in a store and it's not expensive, and I'll be like, ooh, we can make use for this sometimes, or I can do something with that. And then, you know what, if I'm already using something that's really good, I don't even search for other things, right? So you can save yourself the money. If you already have something that works, just continue to do that. I mean, of course, pull as you need to. You found a deal, you want it, grab it, because I may do it too. But it's like, you don't really need a lot of extra, right? Stick to the basics in the beginning, right? Whether it's reading, math, handwriting, find your things, right? Even when it comes to books, like I have the beginner books, right? I started off with buy books, love buy books, but of course I wanted to see what else was out there. So I bought this set of books and that set of books and that set of books, and every time we always go back to the buy books. Now, once they get past the beginning reading phase, of course they branch out to chapter books and just read books for, pleasure, right? But it's like in the beginning when you're building those foundational skills, you don't really need a lot. And sometimes you have to see things through almost to the end to see if they're actually working for your child. It's hard to figure out if something is actually working if you are changing every week or so, right? So that's another thing, right? So the third thing I would say you don't need in terms of homeschooling is a huge budget. Now hear me out. That's only if you have something like a printer right here that prints and doesn't require a whole lot of ink or refills. But in terms of like, buying the most expensive curriculum, like, you don't need to do that. The only thing I really spent money on as far as curriculum wise was for the math curriculum. And as you know, or may not know, we use Math Confidence. And together for both grade levels that I'm teaching, I spent maybe $55, if that, as well as buying the manipulatives to go with that, which I say about $80, give or take. But I really enjoy the curriculum. This is my second time using it. So initially last year I started with the kindergarten and first grade level. Now my girls are on the first and second grade level in terms of the curriculum. But it's a really good one, right? And I stand behind that, and that's the only thing I really spent my money on. As far as the other curriculum that we use the language arts by the Good and the Beautiful, and it's just a placeholder right now until I figure out what else I want to do. But so far it's working for the girls. Not my favorite. We skip a whole lot of stuff, you know, a lot of fluff and stuff like that. But again, I'm trying to keep down on the cost, and it's working for that purpose. On down the line, I'm gonna make a switch, but right now, budget wise, I'm not ready to just go out and buy, you know, the most expensive thing. I have some on my wish list, so I can share that if you're interested, but as of right now, we're cool, right? As far as science and other subjects, I've shared what I use, free websites, you know, out in the local community, and things of that nature. So, you know, when you're starting off like the lower grades, you know, pre-K, toddlers, early elementary, like not a lot is required. Not a lot is required. Like more so consistency in what you're doing and the way that you do it. But like you can teach your child to read without the manipulatives, without the hands-on approaches, right? If your child can learn it that way. I initially started off with a dry erase board and a dry erase marker. I eventually gravitated towards the magnetic board, you know, the magnetic letters and stuff like that, because I just wanted to see how my child learns. But if you already know those things, you can save yourself a lot of money because you don't have to buy those things that your child really don't, you know, enjoy. And of course, I'm a fan of play-based learning, so hands-on learning, so I felt like that was important for my children. But even with that, we have 3 different sets of magnetic letters, and 2 of them have not been used in a very long time. So it's like, yes, let's save ourselves some money. As far as all of the toys and stuff like that, I am a huge fan of things of the week. And I feel like I had to buy a book every week, a toy every week, or a puzzle every week. But y'all, that's not necessary. It's not necessary. Utilize the library. Check them books out first. Utilize YouTube Read Alouds. See if you like the book first, right? And look around your home to see if you can DIY some of those toys, some of those craft activities, some of those things. Like, you have things around your home. Just take a little creativity to get it done. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the convenience of having something that's already, you know, laid out, matched with the thing, you know, because it's less work I have to do. And as a mom of 3, 6 and under, you know, convenience is a big thing, and I love that for me. But at times I get overwhelmed with the amount of choices that we have. You know, we have this you can use, we have that you can use, and if I take all of those things out at one time, it just gets so messy when it comes to cleanup. And I don't like that, right? So you don't really need all of the things. In terms of toys, if I had to downgrade right now to only 3 or 4 toys for my children to keep, of course, there's going to be some dolls and stuff for the girls. Magnet tiles for the girls and my son. They love the math cubes by Learning Resources. And some type of wooden blocks. My son really enjoyed those. So those are the top 4 things they play with here. So any open-ended toys or toys that don't really have a specific way to use them is really good for whatever. Like with the magnet tiles, I can write on them with markers. You know, I can put sticky notes on them and make them into what sentences or matching numbers or whatever the case may be. They're so versatile in the way that you can use them, right? So that's the 3rd thing. The 4th thing that I say you don't really need as a homeschooler is the most aesthetic looking stuff. You don't have to have the cutest setup for your child to learn. Like, you don't have to have the posters that match. You don't have to have the setup that match. You don't necessarily need the Montessori play shelf. You know, you don't really need that. Like, utilize the things that you have. Trust me, you can draw some things out on a piece of paper. You can laminate that thing and you can put it on your wall, and you save yourself what, $10 to $12, right? So it's like, I'm really getting back to the beginning, right? The simple. In the very beginning, I didn't really have a large budget at all. I used to go to Bargain, I used to go to Burlington, I used to go to TJ Maxx and Ross and places like that to find those deals because I didn't have a large budget. And I was perfectly okay with that, right? I saw I'm not gonna say the most growth in that phase, but it was like I was being creative. You know, I had to come up with stuff, you know, and it was really, really fun for me. But I feel like over time, as I'm looking at all this stuff that I have to declutter and pack up and stuff like that, just like, we haven't used a lot of this stuff. Like I bought the Montessori movable alphabet and have not used them but probably 2 times this year, right? It's under my girl's bed. And that's another thing. If you have a lot of excess and you don't see it out in your view, you're not going to use it often. So it's like half the time I forget it's in there. And again, I said we had the magnetic letters and stuff like that. So it's like a whole lot of stuff that we have. And I am grateful that we're able to just switch out and do our thing. But it's like, it's not needed. And I really would say that in terms of like, am I gonna buy some toys right now? Turn that down. We're not going to the store to buy no toys. If we buy something, it's gonna be art supplies, you know, craft stuff or something like that, something that can build and make stuff. But in terms of some toys or something, like, no. In terms of books, I have not been buying any books for us to actually keep here. I've been utilizing the library, and let me just tell y'all, over the past few months, the girls have checked out so many books. And it has saved us so much money because they'll read a book one time, be like, okay, we can take it back to the library. So it's like, just understand that you don't really need a whole lot of stuff. You don't need all of the, you know, busy books and stuff like that. Again, it's convenient and it doesn't take up a lot of space. I guess my main thing is things that are, you know, take up a lot of space. Toys and different things like that. Like, you don't need all of this stuff. What you do need though is a good storage system. A way to keep things organized. You need to have the motivation to know that, hey, I am content with what I have and what we're doing is working, then we're fine. You have to be okay with looking at people's things or not looking at people's things and knowing that you're not going to move or change anything because it's working for you, right? And so sometimes we can look and see, oh, she's using this workbook, or she's using this toy, or she's using this program. Maybe I should try it because she's using it. All children are different. We have different learning styles and teaching styles as parents. You know, our homeschool life is different. You know, we could be doing 3 days a week and they could be doing 4 days a week, and you could be doing 5 days a week. Whatever works for you works for you. So I guess, you know, the grass ain't always greener. Our budgets don't always match other people's budgets. And if many of them are influencers, I don't consider myself an influencer. Like, I do get gifted things and I'm very transparent about that if I will use it or buy it myself. And a lot of the times, most of the things that I like, partnerships that I accept, there are ones that I generally, you know, would buy, have bought after I got the product. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, y'all. Like, you don't really need a whole lot of stuff. And I'm loving like what I see on TikTok. Like, moms are using what they have in their house, making sensory bins and stuff with stuff out the kitchen. Like, they're just taking art supplies and making it do what it do. All it takes is a little creativity, maybe a little bit of research on the internet, but in those early years, you don't need a lot. Now, of course, as your children get older and they become more advanced in different areas and they find their passions and stuff like that, and of course, it's very appropriate for you to go out and, you know, buy those things that they need to excel them on the next level. You never know what their passions are, what their calling is, what their purpose is. So it's like, of course, you try to support our children the best way you know how. But in those beginning phases and teaching those basics, like, we don't really need a whole lot. And I shared this on my Instagram. I shared this on Threads, and most moms was like, yeah, this is the truth. Like, we're decluttering right now. Or, you know, all we need is the basics: pencils, paper, art supplies, you know, different things like that. And it's really the truth, right? I know consumerism is at an all-time high, and we are being influenced to buy different things. And yeah, like, I haven't been exempt because I've grabbed some things because other people said they bought them. But it's like, I haven't used many of those things and I have wasted money. I have. And it has caused me to be like, we're not consistent all the time. Like, we're consistent with math and language arts, but in terms of other subject areas, we're not very consistent. And that's why. So you don't need all those things. You think you do, but you don't. If you have a good organization system, by all means, mom, go ahead and do your thing. But if you're never an organized person and you're trying to become more organized over time, like, don't let those kids come back to back and then you just accumulate stuff because it's cute and you want to keep everything. Growing in my walk as a mom, you know, as a wife, and just, you know, being a homemaker. And so I'm realizing that a lot of the things, I have to go back to the basics. I have to figure out where the problems started occurring, where I can do better at, and stuff like that. So yeah, let me know your feedback, y'all. Are y'all struggling, or is it just me? Like, do I have too much stuff? You know, Am I outgrowing in space? Is it because we stay in a small space? Like, I don't think that's the reason. But I'm gonna blame it on it for this video. But yeah, let me know your feedback. Let me know. Am I alone? Like, if you have the top tier organization tips, let me know. I'll probably be doing like a little moving type series where I share how I organize our stuff, and maybe do a decluttering video and share what I'm getting rid of and stuff like that. Let me know if you're interested in that. But if not, y'all, I'll see you guys in the next video. Say bye. What's on your face? Say bye. Say bye.